All right, hey guys, we have a pretty cool project that we're going to be working on today. We're going to be installing a liftgate light bar made by Brawlee. This is essentially a long LED light strip that mounts to the bottom of your rear liftgate glass. You can see it has a cable that comes out this one end, a simple female connector, and then this really nice, really strong 3M VHB material. All right, so the whole kit comes in this long tube, and then our parts come in this smaller tube which goes inside this one. Brawlee does include a couple different ways to power this light, which we will be going over as we go through the install. But we're going to be doing something a little bit different today, which is running a cable straight to our battery with an inline fuse and then running it back. And we'll be controlling the light with this simple little, I don't know if you can hear that, this little click button, which I think is going to be really clean. I wanted to add a button because, as you might know, when you open your rear tailgate, the light turns on, but then after a while, a timer turns it off. So I want to be able to control the light as I please. All right, we're only going to need a couple simple tools to do this job. If you are interested in doing this yourself, I'll leave links down below for where I found everything and where you can buy it. Before we get started, make sure you hit the like button, and as always, feel free to subscribe. All right, let's do it. All right, guys, so the first step in our install is going to be actually mounting our light to the bottom of our liftgate. And I want to point out that the light does not actually mount to the glass, but to this little lip at the bottom of our liftgate glass. So you're going to want to have adhesive side down onto this black little lip right here. And I also want to point out that I don't know how well it shows up on camera, but Brawlee did a great job at adding this slight radius to this light so it exactly matches the curvature of the rear glass. And then you can see that you're going to want the power cable on the passenger side. Okay, so real quick, we'll take one of the included alcohol wipes and prep our surface. And you're going to want to do a really good job at cleaning this so that way it has a nice clean surface to bond to. And if you off-road a lot, I'd say maybe go over this with some Windex or something else and then use the alcohol preps afterwards. Okay, that's nice and clean. And then the real challenge of this install is going to be getting this adhesive cover off. Easier than I thought. All right, and then what I'm going to do is basically start at this driver's side edge, kind of push up, and then get it in place where I want it, and then firmly press down all the way across. Make sure you get a really good bond with that lip. All right, beautiful, perfect fit. And if you're wondering, I believe I read that this light is 38 9/16 inches long, and it should fit on any factory glass. All right, guys, so the next step in our install is going to be taking a few of our little adhesive wire clamps and running our light wire up our rear tailgate glass into the body of the Jeep. You're going to want to take some of the included clips that are black colored and then sort of place them on your wire and figure out where exactly you want them spaced out. And it's important to note that on the inside of your glass you'll be able to see where your gasket usually meets the glass, and you want to make sure that you're placing your little cable clamps on the inside of where the gasket will lie. And if you're really not sure about it, I would recommend doing this with the lift glass closed. So real quick, now we have a rough idea where we want these. Let's take another alcohol prep and clean the surface so that way they have a really smooth surface to bond with. All right, let it dry. And then let's peel off this material, very carefully put it in place. Okay, and then our wire will go in there, and it's a simple snap down in place. So again, a little snap. and then snap. Okay, now that we've secured our wire to the factory glass, you're going to want to take a series of these white adhesive clips and basically run it down the inside of your hardtop down into this bottom area, and then you're going to tuck your cable up underneath this lip, and then we'll go over the various methods that Brawlee provides to power our light. You can see that since I have this fabric liner on the inside of my top, I'm going to do my best to see if I can get these to adhere to the fabric, but if not, I'll just get some different clips with a Velcro backing, and that should work just fine, but I think these are going to work out. And then just real quick, I'm going to take this piece of split loom that they include and run it over my wire to the back here, just to give things a slightly cleaner look, and then trim it down to the length I need. And looks like it's actually the perfect length, huh? All right, there we go. All right, so like I was saying earlier, once you've come this far, Brawlee actually includes two different ways for you to power your light. One would be via this 12-volt plug, which you could plug into the 12-volt socket that's usually placed right about here in the rear of many Jeeps. And then the second is this little bit of wiring loom that they include. And what you'd want to do is tuck your wiring all the way back underneath this lip, and then preferably run it underneath this plastic. And you can see that I already have my rear roll bar exposed on the passenger side, but there's this wire that runs up to the light in the rear, and we're going to take a look at that right now. Okay, so in this little bundle of wires that run up your rear roll bar, you're going to find three wires. A yellow with a green tracer, a yellow with a white tracer, and then a black ground wire. And if you did want to wire your Brawlee light into your rear dome light using these wires, what you would do is take one of these little wire splice clamps and insert the pass-through portion around your yellow with the white, which is your positive, right? You'd stick that around there, and then you'd take your positive from your Brawlee light and insert it into the butt end or on the inside. And then once that's around, you would simply close this. It's a little bit of an operation, and that would splice the two wires together. Okay, and then your hot would be wired, and then for the ground, you would do the same. Slide that over the ground wire, and then insert your black negative from your Brawlee light into the little butt end, and then clamp it down, and your light would now be wired to your rear dome light. But like I said, we're not going to be doing either of those today. We're going to be doing something completely different. We're going to take our little push click button, I don't know if you can hear that, but we're going to locate it right here. So basically what we're going to do is remove this plastic panel and then drill a hole and mount our switch right there in the corner tucked away. And when we push the light on, this little ring will illuminate and turn our Brawlee light on, and when we turn it off, it'll turn off. I think it'll be pretty cool. All right, let's do it. So removing this panel is pretty straightforward. I've done it on the other side when I installed my water system, but basically we're gonna have to remove two T30 bolts, one here and one here, and then we're gonna have a bolt that we need to remove back here once we get this plastic out of the way. So let's do that real quick. Okay, all right, next we simply get this guy up out of the way. Perfect. And then, right. Okay, and like I said, there is a single 10mm bolt right there, just at the base of your roll bar. So make sure that you don't just start pulling right away, or otherwise you're going to break that. Okay, now that we have our two T30s out at the bottom, we have our 10mm out back here. All you're going to do is simply pull and sort of lift up at the same time, and it should slide right out for the most part. All right, actually, it's actually really easy. And you'll see that there's just a series of little pops and little spots that it corresponds with. And yeah, overall pretty easy. Also, you want to make sure that when you're taking this out, you don't just pull straight back. You kind of want to give it a little, you know, maneuverings. That way this little hook doesn't catch and you get it around your bolt. Okay, so now let's mark where we want our hole for our plug and get this trimmed up. Okay, so basically exactly as I did before, I'm going to take my nut and then pretty much use that as placement for my switch, and then bam, simply just make a little spot, and that's where we're going to drill our hole. Okay, so we're going to drill a real quick pilot hole. Okay, and then we're going to trim this excess plastic off the back, these little ribs, and then we're going to finish up with our step bit. You can see I'm just going to take some basic wire cutters and just get that started. All right, and that got the bulk of it off. All right, that got that trimmed up. Now we'll just take our razor blade and smooth it on out. You see what I'm talking about there? And this part isn't as important, so we're just gonna get it mostly flat. All right. Okay, perfect. Now let's finish that up with our step bit. Okay, let's see. A little bit snug. Oh, perfect. Perfect. Oh, beautiful. Just look at that. Oh, yeah. And look at that. Nice and flush. Oh, yeah, that's going to look great. Right on. So you can kind of see what I did there. All right. Okay, and there really isn't much reason to remove that at this point, so I'm just going to take my nut, put it on, and just really hand tighten is more than enough. All right, now let's go over how to get this sucker wired up. All right, guys, so I don't want to bore you with simply running a wire up roll bar padding. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to start my wire out here. I'm going to run it up through the roll bar padding all the way across to the top of the B pillar, and then down the A pillar, and then through the firewall. So I'm just going to get that done real quick. Okay, now let's get this switch all wired up. All right, guys, so basically I didn't want to bore you with a bunch of wiring, but on our plug you can see that there are 5 different wires. So basically what I had to do was connect the green to our main positive coming from the battery. You hook all of your grounds in together, the ground coming from the device, the ground for the switch, and then back to your ground or your negative. And then to activate the device, when you push the button, you take the red and the blue wire and put them together with the positive that runs to your device or the plug. All right, so basically now everything is wired up the way I need. It's not the prettiest. I don't know if I'm going to clean it up or just tuck it away like this. I'm kind of indifferent about it. So here is the plug coming from our light, and then I'm going to leave the little remote controller in just for now, just to see how I like it, just to play with it. And if it ever fails, I can just take it out pretty much. And I'll just tuck that back in there. And I did leave enough slack so that I could easily just plug that into there if this ever does go bad or I want to take it out. So let me just clean this up real quick, and then we'll get this plug plugged in, and then we'll see what happens when we push the button. All right. Well, let's find out. All right, yeah, I love it. I don't know how well it shows up on camera, but this thing is just super bright. The whole rear cargo area of my Jeep and my tailgate table are perfectly illuminated. After a long day on the trail and when I need to make my dinner, this is going to work out really well. Yeah, absolutely love it. All right, guys. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased. All right, real quick, let's take a look at some of the funny settings and modes that our remote gives us, and then we'll wrap this up. All right, so let's take a look at some of the different functions that our remote gives us. Okay, so we have the ability to reduce our brightness one click at a time, all the way down to right about there. And then we have a 50% brightness feature, and then a 25% brightness feature. All right, and then we have a few different modes that we can cycle through, so let's take a look. Okay, this is the first mode. All right, okay, I'm feeling it. Get the little, Jeep dance party going, right on. Little Jeep rave. Okay, it's our next mode, I think. And then this one, I'm not really sure how well that shows up, but I don't know. Okay. And then boom, 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 boom. I think I'm gonna call this seizure mode. Yeah, definitely. Okay, and then what else? All right, that's a little more intense seizure mode. Oof, gosh, I think it sure is bright. And then we have this guy. Oons, 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 oons. All right, what else? Okay, back to this guy. And then, okay, that's cool, little dance party. See what happens when we hit the mode minus. Okay, and then with some of these, I think there's a speed plus minus. All right, well, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if I'm going to keep this remote. I'm not really sure when I'm ever going to use any of these features. Kind of just having the light. Bam. Bam. Yeah, I love that. All right, guys. Well, like I said, I'm super pleased. This thing is super bright. It was a really easy install. If you do the way Brawlee recommends in their instructions, it's maybe a 5-10 minute install. The way that I did things was a little bit more involved, but in the end, I think that it was definitely worth it. I love having this switch. If I want to take the remote function out, it's just going to be great. All right. Well, guys, as always, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I really hope you liked what I showed you. Like I said in the beginning, if you're interested in picking up any of the parts or products that I use to do this install, I will include a link in the description down below. All right, as always, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, and as always, feel free to subscribe. All right, you guys take it easy.